Hello everyone, I'm Meng Seng from the People's Power Party. Welcome to my political talk. Today I'm going to talk about three issues. Right? One is still the budget. Secondly, the Electoral Boundary Report. The last but not least, everyone is very concerned about the impending election dates. Now, Heng Swee Kiat came out with a statement that says that the PAP government will come out with a second measures, ex-budget measures to deal with the economic impact due to the Wuhan virus crisis. Right? Now, what does that mean? A few weeks ago, he just came out with one budget deficit of $10 billion, right? Almost 11 billion. And he said, oh, it's an expansionary budget that will help the country to deal with the economic impact caused by the Wuhan virus. And everyone was clapping. Said, wow, everyone was praising. Wow, it's an extraordinary budget with $11 billion deficit. Huge deficit, so-called. I have stated very clearly that in this context, in Singapore context, the deficit budget doesn't mean expansionary at all. Why? Because they kept $17 billion into different accounts, right? Transfer it to different accounts that is not going to spend right now, not in this financial year, but over certain years, 5 years, 3 years, even 100 years, right? And that means that this $17 billion will not have immediate impact on the economy itself. How can it be considered as expansionary? And the fact is, they only put up $4 billion in special measures, especially for this economic downturn caused by the Wuhan virus crisis. $4 billion? Are you kidding me? We have a 550 billion GDP. Is 4 billion enough? That's not even 1%. So, Heng Swee Kiat doesn't have a vision at all. He doesn't have a good judgment. And he's a finance minister, and worse, a deputy prime minister and a prime minister in waiting. And we are supposed to look up to him to lead Singapore in the after next election. There is something for you to think about. Right? Mr. Heng Swee Kiat, I can straight away tell you, the second budget, ex-budget measures, you need at least $20 billion to deal with the downturn. Or else a lot of people will be starving. A lot of people will lose their job, lose their business, besides losing money in their enterprises, especially in the food and beverages, the restaurants. Rental is killing everybody. And he is naive enough to think that by giving tax rebates and all sorts to the landlords and expect them to trickle down, to give all the tenants some discount on their renters. No, that's not how it works. Mr. Heng, that's not how a business works. Not how the business world works. And of course, everybody is swearing, cursing and swearing. And he expects that the $20 rental rebate to the taxis, not the Grab driver, only the taxis, will help them. No. A lot of them cannot make money. They are losing money every day when they drive. And that is why we have hundreds of taxi drivers giving up their job and return the taxi to ComfortDelGro. And all this is because you did not do enough in your first budget that you prepared a few weeks ago. And you better be quick, because a lot of people are starving. Well, I believe the PAP noticed that, and that's why they want a snap election to come about, so that they will not have the full impact comes in and cause them to lose votes. Right? Now, that's the budget. For the Electoral Boundaries Report, it is a perfect piece of gerrymandering. Perfect. It's done by expert in gerrymandering. And I would say the Electoral Boundaries Review Committee should be renamed into the Electoral Gerrymandering Committee, they have left no stones unturned. And look at Workers' Party's response. The first response they come out, why would you absorb all my SMC, the single seats, into some GRCs? Of course, Workers' Party, that's how gerrymandering works. For those SMCs, Feng Shan or Punggol East, PAP nearly lost in 2015. Would they give you another chance of contesting and winning them back? Of course not. Silly. And congratulations, we have expert in gerrymandering. But it is not for the interest of the country. The propaganda papers that we have in Singapore put good titles for PAP. It says, oh, there will be no more 6-man GRC. Right. Ang Mo Kio have been reduced from 6-man to 5-man. Good, right? But you have never showcased very prominently that some 4-man GRC have been increased to 5-man GRC. And there are less 4-man GRCs compared to 2015. That's a fact. And they will say that, oh, SMC have been increased by 1. They did not say that they gerrymander, close down those dangerous GRCs. Dangerous to who? Dangerous to PAP. Absorb them into a GRC and put up some SMCs which they think they shall win. That's how it works. So don't be fooled by all this propaganda. PAP is out to wipe everybody off, even Workers' Party. Clean out of the parliament. They want to win big. They want to win every single seat. That's what they are trying to do. They are afraid that Dr. Tan Cheng Bock will go to West Coast to win a GRC. So the West Coast GRC have turned from 4 to 5-seat GRC. That's how it works. They are not letting anybody to win. And the Electoral Gerrymandering Committee need not give any justification or whatsoever for every changes that have been made. And that's what we have when we do not have a separation of powers in Singapore. And I would say, my dear fellow Singaporeans, you voted for that. You allow that to happen and you give them a mandate of 70% to do whatever they want. A totally blank check. That's about the electoral boundary issues. Now, the Prime Ministers say that there's a possibility of calling for an election, snap election, within 1 month after the electoral boundaries have been reviewed. That is totally irresponsible for the ruling party to do so. Socially and politically irresponsible. Why? With the coronavirus threat, we expect politicians to campaign on the ground, go and shake hands, go and say hello, go and knock doors. What if we or our volunteers are infected with virus, with this Wuhan virus? We go around doing all this. We are supposed to be practicing social distancing instead of going around to do campaigning. And I would say that PAP will come up with all sorts of measures to restrict opposition parties from conducting mass rallies. And mass rallies are very important for opposition parties, not for PAP, of course. You can see that PAP rallies hardly have any attendance. But a lot of people will go to opposition rallies. Why? Because we lack the exposure during the 5 years, 4 or 5 years during this period. Nobody knows what we stand for, although many of us have been talking and writing on our Facebook and social medias. But Singaporeans are too busy. They have not come across a lot of our ideas, our speeches. Right? So during election, it is the time for them to have rallies, to get to know us, to know our ideas, to get to know our candidates, and they will decide whether to vote for us. And it's important because it is good for people to make informed choices, not to vote blindly. But with this Wuhan virus crisis, PAP is now saying that any event that has 250 attendees, participants, right? More than 250 will be banned. And there's no mystery why these measures comes about along with the review of the electoral boundary reports. It's a clear attempt to curb freedom of expression and freedom of information transfer for voters to make informed choices. Of course, we can do videos and all that, but the impact is totally different. Our messaging is totally different. You can only see the real person live on stage. Every movement that he says, whether it's sincere and whether he can deliver his ideas. And of course, PAP is risking everyone's lives to ask people going to the polling station to vote using the same pen, the crowded places. We are supposed to be practicing social distancing. Taking temperatures is not a secure method to prevent the virus from spreading. So it's socially irresponsible for the Prime Minister to call for a snap election or the election within this period before the coronavirus threat has been arrested. And he says, oh, we need the mandate from the people for us to deal with the virus situation. What mandate do you need, Mr. Prime Minister? You have the mandate in 2015. 70% voted for you to run the country. Are you going to do something extraordinary that needs people's approval during this period? No. If so, it's not election. It's referendum that you need. In fact, this crisis will allow your 4G leaders to show what they are made of, whether they make good judgment, good decision to deal with the crisis, and whether they pass the mark to become the Prime Minister, become the Deputy Prime Minister, and so on. It is not before they show what they can do and people vote for them. No. Show us what you can do, how you perform, or how you screw up, and let people decide whether we should continue to vote PAP, to support it, to run the country, and what sort of mandate we should give you. Show us your report card before we go for election. That is a sort of mandate of what you have performed, not before you have shown your results. Well, maybe the Prime Minister is not very confident of his own group of 4G leaders. He's afraid that they might screw up. But Heng Swee Kiat have already made a blunder. He came out with a budget that is not enough, totally inadequate. And now he has to come out with a second budget, ex-budget measures, right after the debates on the first budget. What is this? It has never occurred that way. First time in Singapore history, as far as I can remember. The Finance Minister go into the top of a second ex-budget measures right after the debate for the first budget. And I can say that some of the judgment made by the 4G leaders are scary, asking you not to put masks and telling people you are xia sui, right? Disgraceful when you rush into panic buying. It's totally natural for people to do that when they lose confidence in your leadership. Don't blame others. Don't blame others. And the government itself is not leading by examples in social distancing. And now it is worse. They want to go for election. That means the talk of social distancing. Where in the election, you're bound to have crowds. You create crowds. How could that be responsible? So I would agree with Dr. Tan Ching Bok. The election could be postponed even after the deadline of April 2021, if it needs to be. The president can appoint a caretaker government, and we will not disagree with that if the Wuhan virus is still threatening. It is not about our party's interest. We always put the lives of Singaporeans as top priority, not our party interest. And I hope the Prime Minister will do the same. Thank you.